Hi, everybody that's joining. I'm so excited to be live with you guys tonight. I have a special guest that's joining me tonight, and we're going to be talking about cosmic sexuality, and we're also going to be talking about the upcoming goddess retreat. So I'm just waiting for our special guest to join. Thank you guys for being here. I'm so excited that you guys are tuning in. I see some goddesses here that I love, so thank you guys for being here. So today we're going to be talking about cosmic sexuality. For those of you guys that are just joining, it's going to be a great conversation. We have a special guest, Yvonne, who is certified in cosmic sexuality, and she's going to be sharing what her experience has been so far. We're going to be talking about some juicy topics. So yeah, you guys just, hey, goddess. It's so good to see you. But in the meantime, if any of you guys have questions about anything cosmic sexuality, I can answer it while we're waiting for our guest to join. Okay, she just joined, so. Hi, everybody that's joining. Thank you guys for being here. We're going to be talking about cosmic sexuality tonight with our special guest, Yvonne. And she just put in her request to join. Someone accepts her. And then we're going to begin our talk. Yvonne, let me know once you are here. There you go.
Here we are. Hey, how are you?
A long time. Sorry, guys. My dog is like here too. Can you hear me, Yvonne? Let me know if you can hear me.
I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
First of all, this is epic because it's a long time in the making.
I
So
know.
I'm so excited for the connection. And
I can hear you.
Okay, and you being here with us in the community. So for those of you guys that don't know, Yvonne is certified in cosmic sexuality. She has been for years. She's been here. She's been on her path. She's doing the work. She also supports others through her work, and she's been a great example of someone that has taken her certification of cosmic sexuality and integrated into what she was already passionate about to be able to support others. So I'm just going to ask her to share about herself for those of you guys that don't know her, and then we're going to get into our talk for the night.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm Yvonne, and as you were saying, I guess I'll start. So or go back a little bit. I'm actually a naturopathic practitioner. So in a nutshell, that's what I do. That's my business. I own Inquisitive Health Bodywork, and it's a bodywork boutique where I'm a myotherapist, clinical therapist, but I also do other work with holistic and lifestyle coaching and all of that good stuff. So that's my background and what I do on a day-to-day basis. So this kind of fit in because I work with clients, and when we're coming up with their lifestyle and wellness plans, I mean, a big part of that is, hey, I want to work on relationships and things like that. So a couple of years ago, that was like a gap that was missing. But honestly, I was referring them out to other practitioners and, psychiatrists and other things like that, or therapists and things like that, that I felt that they needed to go to talk about relationships with it. But then they were like, hey, that's a little bit too deep, or I don't think I need that level. So, fast forward a little bit around, it actually was before COVID. So before COVID, I usually twice a year, retreat for about 30 days. It's just kind of a personal time where I'm off of social media and I'm reflecting and just kind of cutting out all of the distractions. And I have this whiteboard, and I was writing down things that I was hoping to kind of gain and things that had come to mind throughout the past couple of months that I wanted to kind of focus on, even for myself. So I was like, honestly, I was online. I was, typing online, and I was like trying to find, I was like, hey, maybe I should, go interview a sex therapist or a relationship counselor or something like that, because a lot of couples come in and they're like, how can I improve my sex life, or how can I, better my relationship? So I was on the internet. I remember it was like nighttime. It was like 11 at night. I was searching. I was tired. I was like frustrated. I was like, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to find the right person. And then I saw Cosmic Sexuality, and with my spiritual background, I was just like, hey, what's that? I'm telling you, I wasn't looking for it. It found me. That website found me.
It is when it's like part of your path. That's how it always is.
Yeah. So that's how, that's my background and how I found the Cosmic Sexuality classes and then the courses and all of that good stuff. And then, I ended up seeing that you all had a Instagram page. So I went out on the Instagram page and I was like, wow, I said, this is like covering a lot of the stuff that I didn't even think of. So I went back to the website, and that's when I signed up for my first course. And from there, it was a wrap. I mean, it was something that I wasn't expecting. And it just wasn't, looking at the course outline and actually taking the course, it was just two different experiences. Yes, you're excited, like, ooh, what's that? You're more intrigued when you're looking at like what the course titles are. And then when you're, actually like immersed in the training, it was just a completely different ballgame. It was like something I was like rushing home to. I'm like, no, I've got this class and I'm getting ready to go home and I get to meditate. And, it was that time where I had personal time, but I was also growing and doing a whole bunch of other stuff. So.
Yeah. And I remember like when you were doing your course, like you were always so engaged, like you would email us. Like I always like enjoyed getting your emails and like seeing like what you were working through and like the processes that you're doing on the course. And it was powerful, like seeing you take the information with what you already knew intuitively and pairing it with your work, like single-handedly. I think, and I'll go on record saying this because we're on live, it is going to go on my page. You are one of the people that has actually taken your certification like to the next level with your work with others, and you really do support so many people. Like your community is so big, and I love like always seeing like how engaged you are with them and like how you really like show up for them when you do the work, and it's powerful to witness. So thank you for sharing like what your experience was with it, because I'm able to see that, like, and it means so much being able to see those that have taken the course and been able to take from it in such a profound way, but also from their own perspective and like add it into like what they already know intuitively and what they're doing. So thank you.
Yeah, the way you all constructed it was brilliant. It was just, like I said, I couldn't have, it's something that everyone that's walking the face of the planet, anyone that's been birthed into this lifetime, has to do. One of the things I was thinking about earlier before we got on the call was, you go through sex ed in like what, middle school or something like that. There's this huge gap. There's this huge,
definitely is.
Exactly. There's this huge, like, unanswered for gap that you just don't really learn, like, basically just life lessons. We go through traumas, we go through relationships, we go through all of these things that impact how we interact with people. And I think a lot of misperception, which is why I posted it out earlier, is, what is cosmic? So people think cosmic and they're like, oh, witches on brooms or something weird. And it's not that. It's really like ascending, and it's really, that spiritual element of sexuality and learning it and practicing it. And, sex is taboo. The word sex becomes taboo. Everyone's like, ooh, So, when you explain it to them and then you show, what we're actually learning and what's being taught, then it starts to make sense to people. But, unless you're actually in that process, like you saw with the work that I was turning in, which I was like, I couldn't get enough. I was like, okay, let me stop writing before. I was just sitting here like typing away, and then I would revisit it after it was done. So it's still something I practice every day. I still have my notebooks. I still have everything. And when I feel like I'm kind of falling out of my way because life kind of catches up to you and you forget some of those important things, you know, go back to my teachings and my lessons and the things that I learned. So I'm happy, and I'm like definitely grateful for that program. And I'm happy that we're being able to talk about it now on live, you know, finally,
Yeah.
and, you know, share that.
And what you said, thank you for saying it, because I sometimes feel like when people, like, everything you broke down was so on point. Like, right, you can see a course, you can see the outline, and then you can kind of imagine where you fall into it. But once you like actually show up and dive into it, like you did, like you showed up, that's why it worked for your path. It becomes this expansive thing, and that's what we ideally want, is everybody has this connection to understanding their own sexuality and having a deep a framework, right? A framework for going into it to be able to understand. And so even when we say cosmic, we're simply taking out the constructs to people going deeper into their sexuality, right? Because we may all have different perspectives, or may have different religious backgrounds that we're coming from. But if we all have an understanding that there is this source energy inside of us that's attributed to the cosmos or something, a greater force, right? It
Mm-hmm.
becomes something tangible for us all. So I love that you said that, because it is a question that comes up a lot. Like, a lot of people question, what is cosmic sexuality? They go, is it tantra? They go, is it this? And we go, no, it's not. It's a direct path to the mastery of your sexuality and integrating it with your spiritual path. And for us, we're going at the direct understanding of those learning about sexuality. Because if you're going into other stuff, sometimes it has other principles with it. And so you're taking both and not getting to the direct understanding of what it is that you need for your sexual path, because they're all coming with this different backgrounds from what we've experienced sexually, and we're trying to find our place with it. And that's one of our main goals, is to just provide the framework, an actual framework that's tangible for people that want to begin to heal, expand, and just experience something deeper that's beyond like a surface level connection of what they're going through. So I love that you even said like you were looking for something for your clients to like to be able to support them, because that's powerful.
Yeah.
Like like that alone is just the heart and the focus that it takes to say, hey, I'm going to go deeper into this. I have my own path, I have my knowing, but I want to become so expansive that I support others, that I know I have this toolbox to be able to go into and to say, hey, I can support you on your path. So just thank you for, one, being there and doing that work, and also sharing with others about what your experience has been with it, because it's such a powerful one.
Not a problem. It's been my pleasure, and it's been necessary for sure. So I am happy to continue sharing it, and, you know, just giving people what they need. There's not, like I said, it's for everyone, and it's continuous. You have to, because people change, relationships change. And, you know, and when I say relationships, it's just not even, you know, a lot of people are like, hey, is it, you know, for couples or singles? It's for you individually first.
Say it again. Say it again. I love this.
You
I say
first. You see so much online and the media and all of this craziness. And I'm like, you all are learning your own bodies through what you see. You're learning relationships through social media or whatever you see in a movie. That's not real. You have to work on yourself. And you have, you know, the thing about it is people don't know where to start. So
that.
how awesome is it to have the framework that you all created to say, hey, we've got it covered for you. And the way you all laid it out, I mean, you didn't miss anything. So I'm all
It
for it.
means a
I'm
lot.
here for it.
We really like focus and bringing this experience together, but we know it's so much bigger. Man, the way you put things is so powerful, because I know like there's so many different people that are different places on their path. But like you said, we all have to figure this out. We all have to figure out the idea of relationship, the idea of sexuality, and we want to be able to essentially meet everybody where they are. And that's why we created the framework the way that we did, so that we could say, hey, this is something that's tangible right now that can support you in your understanding of going deeper into, one, relationship with self, inner intimacy, connection, sexual connection with another, and healing, you know, and healing in a way that is actually accessible to you, where you go at the end of it, I understand the process of what I was doing, right? I understand what I did on the course. I can walk myself back through it, like you said, in case you have to walk someone else through it. And so it's such a powerful thing to just be able to say, hey, this is available to you right now. And it's available to you in a way that you can integrate it because you actually took yourself through the process. You were guided, but you showed up and you did it. And when you show up and you do something with all of your whole being, it never leaves you. It stays with you forever. And so I love that you're so fluent in this. Like you can be, of course, right? Because
Yeah.
it's fluid in it where you're like, I embodied this. Like, no, like I really am like living this. This is now like, this is part of my path, and this is part of me supporting and helping others. And that's, you know, a powerful thing to see, because we wanted to create the framework of cosmic sexuality and the courses and the in-person work and the retreats where it can be for everyone, right? Because ideally on the planet, that's where we're getting to. We're getting to a place where we want everyone to have access to information, to be able to do life from a space of wholeness, do life from a place of alignment, right? And if we're going to do life from those spaces, then we have to really cover and go through all the areas of our existence that we know we could be better supported or better understood in. So just thank you, like, for going into it so deeply and so eloquently in the way that you are, because it's such, you're such a powerful witness to watch that you've been through it and now you're sharing and you've embodied it. Embodied it is like the biggest thing.
Hey, I mean, like I said, I mean, it's been life-changing, and there's really no other way to describe it. And then it's funny because when people ask me, sometimes I'm speechless. It's just there's so many things that come to mind that I benefited, you know, from this years later. I mean, years later. And it's funny because when I went through the class as an individual, it was just like, man, you know, I was loving it. I was happy. Then it ended. And I was like, no, 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 no. Now I want to take the instructor's course. And when that was done, I was like, I was in my feelings. I'm not going to lie. I was like feeling some kind of way. I'm like, I'm not done yet. So I was like wanting to like email you guys like what's next? Like, how can I help? What can I do? Like, I just didn't want to stop it because it just, throughout the day, I remember this feeling like throughout the day where I felt myself changing, and then I felt some habits and even things, you know, from my past that I was releasing through that process. It was just, they were tapping me on my shoulder like, you know, remember this habit. And it was a struggle and it was intense, but I also went back to that balance that you all created with the meditation that said, hey, when you feel like that, you better start that deep breathing and you better get behind your lungs. I remember that.
No, you're giving it to them, like you're giving it to them, because no, what you're saying is so real and so raw, like it's needed to be said, right? Because when we get into, I know it sounds like when people are thinking about sexuality, it almost feels like they want this microwave solution. And we go, microwave solutions only get you so far. Microwave doesn't get you very, you know, you have to really say, I'm committed to this. I'm committed to this for a deeper understanding and connection to myself first, and then another. So hearing you speak and just hearing the devotion that you had that was built into your process and understanding it, that the work works. It works when you say, hey, like there's this deeper driving force that's within me, that's allowing me to show up continuously to expand. And that's the best feeling, because you get the benefits of that. That never, it literally changes you. It changes you from the inside out, and it gives you this desire to keep going, to say, I've touched on that aspect of myself so deeply. I feel what the transformation feels like. And I love that feeling of transformation, because we're either two ways. We're either stuck in being stagnant on our path, trying to figure out, trying to go through the same cycles over and over again. And then you get tired of that. Your soul goes, no, I'm just done with the same cycles. Like nobody, what fun is that in life at all? If you're going through the same cycles over and over again, or you have the other choice where you go, there's this timing of this thing that presented itself to me. Like you said, I went and it presented itself, and I went into it. And because I trusted the timing of it being presented, and I said yes to myself, I got the benefits of continuing to expand. And that's such a beautiful thing, because that expansion leads you so many places that are only powerful to what you're trying to achieve here, even if it's just peace, day-to-day peace, even if it's just peace in a relationship, even if it's just having peace from healing from something that's been stuck with you for so long that you thought you couldn't release or let go of, right? Because I think we all know that, have known that space at some point, where it feels like maybe there's one thing on your path where you just can't let go of. No matter what you do, it comes back to you. And that's a constant state of trauma. And we're not meant to exist from a constant state of trauma. We're meant to be expansive beings that are experienced to enjoy it and to receive these divine reflections of our highest.
Yeah. And, you know, it's funny because I go back to when you were talking about the whole microwave thing. It's funny because people want solutions quick, fast. And I always tell people a microwave still has buttons that have settings. So, you know, you think it's fast and it's quick, stop trying to press the button. If it doesn't have the right wattage, is your popcorn going to pop? Probably not. Then your whole movie night's jacked up. So then you have this whole, like...
Oh, I love that. But it's so real. It's so true. So,
you know?
Reference that everybody can understand, because we've always, some of us had popcorn before. We know like half the bag is popped and you're like,
the other half is burnt, you know?
Exactly.
And you're like, see, the settings are wrong and you're trying to do it quick, you know? I mean, it's just, that's just the way that unfortunately society has made us, you know, quick, fast, in a hurry. We need it now, instant gratification. And I will tell everyone, this is a slow and steady process, because it just can't be anything less than that. You know, it has to be, you have to take that time, and you owe it to yourself to give yourself that gift. Stop cheating yourself. Stop doing it. I hate when people cheat themselves of the beauty of just healing, the healing experience. There's so many experiences that people have that's why it's hard to describe. Healing experience. I'm getting chills. Chill bumps. But there's
man, you're talking to their souls right now.
You know, I mean, it's just, if there's a healing element behind it that just continues and continues. And I tell people all the time, sometimes they get so excited and they're wanting to share, and it's just like, hold it in to yourself. Your inside job doesn't need to be, you know, the only time you're taking notes is when you're going back to, you know, tweak and refine yourself. We're all here individually. We were born here individually, and even in relationships. And one of the things that I learned to improve just myself is, you know, just that individuality piece. I give a lot of myself. So sometimes it's hard for me to know when to cut it off, so I'm not draining myself or being, you know, pulled from. So when, you know, people are working on themselves, you know, once you get to that place where you're like, hey, you know what, I'm good, and you're, you know, halfway through, mostly through this process and this, you know, education, it's like, you know, you're still an individual, even when you do this class in partnership, which is why I love that with couples, you're still having to do this separately. You know, do your class, do your assignment separately, because you are an individual and you should be complementing each other. You should not be, you know, I'm not a big merge and mesh, you know, energetically, we're all connected. But when you choose to find a partner, let that partner and let yourself, you know, enhance each other, you know, for your own individualities, not, you know, oh, you complete me, you know, the whole Jerry Maguire thing. I say that all the time. You complete you, you know, spirit completes you. You all complement each other, and you should, you know, thrive on each other's individuality. So, I mean, it's just like, you know, there's just so many levels and layers, and it's just, you know, the process itself is just, you know, one big blooming tree. I mean, it's just never ending. It's just
100%. And just to the point of what you said is that we always say this, you know, and we say this on the course, we say this when working with other people, is that you're your first lover, you're your own lover. But if you just simply ask anybody randomly on the street, do you know how to love, right? Or who taught you how to love? Or what's your understanding of love? It always comes from an outside example or perspective that either goes back to parents or relationship. And we go, everything, your knowing comes from you in anything. That's the simplest way. Your knowing comes from you in anything. But in order to know how to love ourselves, we have to go so deep into our own devotion that we know what it takes. And through that devotion, we can then devote to another person and be able to say, okay, I know that I can love myself. I'm so full that I have this offering that I'm able to mirror back to you, but it's not, it's an extension of me and it's an offering to mirror, but I'm not giving myself away. I'm not giving myself away to the point where I'm depleted and I have nothing else left to give to myself. And that's the same way that it is through sex. We're taught the same way. We're only taught sex from an outside perspective of being with our partner and wanting to please our partner, instead of going, what is mutual for me in this experience too? Like, what do I get out of this experience? How do I feel supported in this experience to experience these deeper levels of pleasure? Otherwise, it's the same thing. You end up depleted or you end up expanded. So it's like you have to choose the experience that you want, but you, in order to choose it, you have to know. You have to know what it is that it takes to get you to the aspects of what it is that you want to experience. And the knowing is what we impart through the work of cosmic sexuality. And you leave with that. No one ever can take away your own knowing. Once you have it and you got it, you go, this is everything, right? Because I know what it is that I need for myself at all times. So I'll never compromise my own worthiness.
Exactly.
And that's the biggest thing, is just being able to be so deep in your own worthiness and knowing that your worthiness maintains itself, because you have to feel worthy in order to be able to connect with another. Otherwise, it's always going to be this one-sided experience rather than be mutual. So I'm so excited that you brought that up, because it's so important. And when people, that's one thing we want people to understand when they come to the work of cosmic sexuality, is that it's about you first. So even if you don't have a partner, you do have a partner, it's still going to come down to your experience and you getting to a place where you feel so solid and so excited and so expansive that everything else is just a cherry on top.
Oh yeah, it's one of the best things that ever happened in my life. And you know, it's just it's something that, you know, has to be, you know, tended to. It has to be tended to for, you know, just it has to. But you know, like I said, it just goes back to knowing how to care for yourself and know how to just identify, you know, early on. You know, the thing is people are like, they think everything is like goal based. I'm like, no, this is probably one of those times where you should go with the flow. And learning and teaching yourself how to meditate, you know, and, you know, just get into that like mental space to just kind of block everything out, listen to what comes to you, you know. And I think that ends up being, you know, one of the things that people are like, oh, well, you know, I don't know how to. And, you know, like I said, you all have made it so easy to, for anyone from any level, like you were saying, come in and start, you know, from whatever point in your life you're at. So, yeah, I mean, it's just the design is definitely intentional. So,
yeah, definitely. This is, you know, years of work, years of mastery. This was something that we were very, very intentional about and very certain about, because a lot of the work that we do foundation wise is energetics, right? We're going to the source of your existence. And we know when you're going to this type of work energetically, it has to come from a place of deep mastery and knowing, because you're sharing it. And when you're working with energetics, it's a permission-based thing. So we always even say, when you're in the work, bring your own guide to it, right? You're bringing your own guide, your own certainty, your own knowing, so that when you go through this process, it's not attributed to an outside source, not even attributed to us, right? As founders in an egoic sense. You go, this is the path of cosmic sexuality, but we want people to know that this is really for them. Like, this is for you. Like, you, when you go through it, this is really your path. It's something that is for us all on our healing path. So just thank you for saying that. It was very intentional. It came from a deep place of mastery. We're so excited to see those that really do show up on the path and do the work and can translate it in the way that you're translating it. And to go, we know, like, our work on this planet is being done and happening. And that's what's the biggest thing for us, is because Source put this within our hearts and within our purpose to share this work with others, because there was no framework. When there was no framework, there was no cosmic sexuality. Like, we literally founded this framework because we went through all of the schools that people talk about. We went through all the different types of the sexual paths that are outlined, literally went through them. And we knew that there was still more. When we got to the place where we're like, okay, we feel something, but we still knew that there was more for people, and there wasn't all the things there, that it skipped a lot of steps. So we're like, we have to bring this together in such a way that it can help people and it can outline. It's not going to be microwave, but it's an outline, it's a tool, it's a guide to support you through your path. And you have to be able to say, hey, I'm going to show up and do it. But when you do, you see the results, you see the transformation. And just seeing you before me is like a testimony. Like, seriously, it's a testimony to that.
I'm, like I said, I'm so honored. And, you know, you said something. So when I was telling you that some of the clients are going to therapists, and I don't, you know, take away from their work, but they're very much so in their lane, you know, by license, by practice, whatever it may be, they were still missing. I had one client, and literally she was going to see, you know, a doctor for this, a dietitian for that, this, that. And then when we all talked about what the root cause was, honestly, it was just a bad relationship, you know. So you're seeing all these things, but she didn't know how to, she didn't know where to start. It was just one of those things where it was just like, well, I'll just be depressed and I'll just go home and eat, you know,
Yeah.
horribly and live this bad lifestyle, and then continue that cycle over and over again. So it was just, you're wasting so much time in your life, so much money. And you can tell the care that you all put into the program, because it's so complete and it covers all of those things that, you know, it literally covers everything head to toe. I mean, it's just, you didn't skip a beat. And that's what people needed. That's really what people needed.
Yeah, we were very intentional about it. And just hearing you say that just brings me to this point for anybody that is listening or that will watch this replay, is that you could be at two different places, right? When you come to this work, you could go, hey, I know this is for me, and go right away and go, this is part of my alignment. Or you could be someone, like you mentioned, that doesn't even know where to start. And I always go, when someone feels stuck in a rut, source will always present a moment of clarity, even if it's a breath, because our breath forces us to become intentional about what we're thinking. So even if you're breathing in a moment and a thought pops up, that's your spirit trying to work with you to go, hey, let's go deeper into this. And when you choose to go deeper into this, it always leads you to a point of alignment. So you go, hey, this may pop up but then it's up to you to choose that next step for yourself. So if someone is listening and they're ready to go down this path, choose this next step for yourself. Don't choose it for anyone else, but choose it for yourself. And just know that you don't have to be stuck at any point on your path. There's always a solution before you, always. And it may feel like it's taking a leap, but I always say that it's always prepared for you in advance. Like, there's always, like, your string of thoughts or your string of actions are leading you somewhere. And it can, when you act on those things from a place of a moment of clarity, it's always going to lead you to the right place.
Mm-hmm.
You don't act out of fear instead of going down. I say it's an upward spiral, downward spiral, right? But when we choose the upward spiral, we can choose to think a new thought. We can choose to see just that moment, that option for a new choice, for a new path, to break the cycle that you feel has been with you for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And for myself, like, every time a cycle would come around about something that I was working to heal through, it would always be new insight each time. So I'm like, you're never going to keep going through the same thing more than once. Every time it comes back around, it's going to be new insight. And with that new insight, you're meant to take a call of action. So what you said was so powerful to your clients, like, let's get to the root cause of this. And also what you did when you said you found the course, like, you were obviously on the other side of the spectrum where you knew where you were already in your alignment, but it's two sides of the same coin. Like, you just have to make the choices when they pop up to you for you to say, hey, I'm going to do and choose something new for myself. And it's always going to be some type of investment. And that's not even always monetary, but just energetically. It's always going to require you to commit to go into it, because if you can't commit to it, then you can't go deep in the devotion of yourself. you have to be able to develop some sort of discipline to say, I can do this. I can do this because the end goal is greater for me than staying stuck where I am.
Yeah, you're right. And, you said something also. So, I mean, breaking that process, it's pretty much almost impossible once you get started because it's pretty addictive at that point. When you start unraveling yourself, you really find yourself wanting to continue. And it gets so deep. But like I said, one of the things I love the most is that there's this repair care element that's part of it where you have to reflect and you have to, I mean, you're bearing it to yourself. There's things I discovered about myself that I didn't even know. And then those were those nights where I was just like, whoa, and it was just like, what do I do with that? And then what do you know? I mean, here comes, spirit coming through and it's just like, oh, we got you. This is the next step. This is the next part, or we're going to reveal this to you, or, in all of the different lessons and everything that was happening, I was just like, I was looking back at my board. I was looking back at that board that I was telling you that when thoughts and dreams and just, if I'm just driving one day and there's something that comes to mind all the time, I come home and I have this whiteboard where I'll just write something down. I had that board for about maybe 2 years just worth of just stuff.
Powerful.
And when I went through it, I started checking things off of that list, and you would be surprised at how much was covered just in the training, the Cosmic Sexuality training. And I had no clue why it was on that board. Some of the stuff I didn't even come to like cover until like maybe, months later, a year later. Some stuff still sits on the board and I'm like, it'll be revealed at some point, but it kept on nagging me for a reason and it'll come in its time, but it covered so much. So, it was just, like I said, it's just one of those things where you just don't know. And I always encourage people to stop and just be more mindful, take a mindful moment and write those things down, stop living so fast, stop living so quick, stop and be more conscious
100%.
of like what you're doing, what you're hearing. Yeah. Yep. So, I mean,
and thank
it was
you for
just,
saying
like
that. I want you to finish.
Oh, no, I think it got garbled or whatever, but no, I was just saying like, it was just, once I was able to get all of that kind of collected after, the end of the course, and I kind of pulled my thoughts all together and I was just like, how would I even, it really wasn't a question at that point of how do I apply this to my life? Because at that point I was already applying it. I think that's what probably throws people off because they think typical school, I'm going to learn something and then, I'm going to forget it. No, you're literally living it as you're going through the process. So it is a lifestyle change. And, people don't know. I mean, there's like, oh, well, I don't want to change my lifestyle. I want to be, whatever that low vibrational quality is, and if you want to stay in that place, that's totally up to you, but you'll live a better, happier life and you'll have all of this glow, I'm not afraid of my shine. So, I earned it. I earned the shine. I earned the glow. I earned what you see around me and I'm very happy and I'm proud of it. So I want people to feel that same way, have that same confidence. And that's what I gained, it's just people are like, well, you have this strong presence about you. And I think it's just really knowing exactly who I am and knowing when it's time for me to, fix some things. So, and I'm not afraid of that. So, yeah.
I'm so appreciative for this moment because I always say it's important for other goddesses and other women to see examples of what's possible for them, right? And I know I get so many messages all the time, and a lot of them are from women that go, well, I just don't feel sexual. I just don't feel in my worthiness. I don't feel like I'm a goddess. I don't feel, I don't feel it. I know it's in me, but I don't feel it at all. And I go, that's okay. But when I see these examples, I'm like, this is an example. And I know everybody has their own path, but it is possible for you. So just you sitting here and sharing your truth so clearly is so potent because it's important when we see the reflections and we hear the different pathways because everybody has their own way to it, right? Own way to it. it gives you insight of your own path. And sometimes you may feel like the biggest thing I feel like when people go through on their healing path is they don't always have that same clarity or certainty, right? When they're coming to the work, they may need support or may need a guide to help them through it. And we always guide them back to themselves. So we support people with tapping into their own knowing, to tapping into what their guidance is. Because when you have that knowing and have that guidance, it doesn't leave you. Once you know how to get there and you become so clear in where it is that you're heading, you can't turn back. You go, no, like I see, like you said, I see the transformations. I'm sticking with this. I'm ready to be in my fullness of who I am. And you don't know that, may not know that feeling yet, but if they continue to trust it, trust the unfolding of it, then they get used to living in this space, because it does take a lot. It takes a lot if you're coming from a place of not being healed, or you have certain traumas, or you never felt worthy in relationships, or you haven't felt supported to even learn yourself. Because it does take time for you to be able to say, and just people that get it around you, otherwise it becomes this lonely path, is that there's people out there that have done the work. They're speaking to you we're speaking to you right now. Like we're telling you that it's possible for you if you count yourself into it. So just know that the feeling of you coming into your wholeness, into feeling like your own sexual existence in a beautiful way, is not going to feel comfortable at first. You have to be comfortable with taking up space. I'm sorry. Like that's just it. You have to be comfortable with just saying, me, I am here. I do not care who feels it or who doesn't. Like, I'm taking up the space that is just me. I'm not taking up anybody else's space. I'm just taking up my space. I'm here. I'm here, and I'm going to own my space, and it's going to feel good, and I'm going to be able to live from here, because honestly, that's my right. That's my right as a goddess, as a being of source. That is your right to be here and take up the space that it is on your path. That's your right. Like, I just want every single woman to know what that feels like for herself. I want them to know what it feels like to feel their own orgasmic energy, just to feel peace of mind, just to feel whole, like just to wake up and just not feel like you're in this constant state of needing to figure something out, right? Like, let's get past that. Let's get into the doing of life. That's this juiciness. That's the excitement. When you get into the doing of life from this place of like, I'm here. That's when it becomes like orgasmic. That's when it becomes exciting for you.
Exactly. And you say the word orgasmic and people are afraid of the word sex. They're mystified by cosmic, and then when you see orgasmic, it's like, ooh, like, what are you talking about? Like, I got some of the wildest DMs, like, you know, people are like, whoa, what's going on here? And I'm like, honestly, you know, by dictionary, if you just research, like, you know, what you've seen, it's pretty straightforward. It's not in the dictionary. We're not creating, you know, any terms. There's nothing new that's being created here. It's just constructed in a perfect combination of words. So I mean, it's just, you know, when you see people that shy away from, you know, oh, what's an orgasm? It's beyond dirty, you know, this dirty thought, you know. And I had a girl actually 2 days ago, and she was just like, yeah, you know, my learning and my understanding of sex or like, nobody would say that in our household. But then again, my parents didn't teach me anything. Like, I didn't know about anything, and here I am. You know, love, sex, all of that was reserved for marriage, but you never really got to understand or know yourself, or even how to appreciate our, you know, biological, like our own anatomy. You know, I mean, like, you learn about anatomy. I mean,
that's because sexuality has for so long, for eons, been learned through a male gaze, a male perspective. And anything that's only skewed one direction is going to be very limited and almost feel like off-putting, because it doesn't have you involved in it. And this just goes down just to energy itself. So I'm not talking in the terms of like feminism or anything like that, but just having an understanding of you being involved in that aspect, right? So if we as goddess, as women, can put ourselves into the understanding of our sexuality, it no longer feels like this taboo thing that we can't talk about, because we're at the center of it. And if you feel comfortable talking about yourself, then you feel comfortable sharing about it. But it's only become this thing where it feels taboo because it's been over sexualized to the point where it's so physical and so one-sided that when you talk about it, all people assume is that it involves the using of something, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we reclaim our own energy to say, I'm no longer going to be used in this way, I'm not going to allow my energy to be used in this way, but it's going to be mutual, it becomes something that we feel proud of. We feel proud of sharing. We feel proud of saying, I am an orgasmic being. Like, I just had an orgasm yesterday. I had one today. Like,
Sitting in the car driving.
right. You become proud of saying that, right? Because it becomes something that you understand as sacred.
I'm one of those friends that literally I talk about sex like all the time. And in the sense of like, hey, how, in a healthy sense. And this is what fuels me. And maybe it's just the, Scorpio sun in me, and that's just kind of naturally like, what I gravitate to, but it's supposed to be healthy and it's important and it's something that should be shared and, refined and tweaked. And it should be, if it's going to be an energy source,
Yes.
make sure you do it right. Make sure you tweak and you do what you need to do. So you're not, letting people, see that, it's just this kind of weird thing. I mean, it changes you. So let me tell you, when I completed this, I started looking at people differently. And what I was attracted to was no longer attractive. And personality traits and things that I kind of sort of were questionable about, it wasn't where I was anymore in my life. So it was just kind of like, now anyone that I would take seriously, I've made clear you have to go through the same process you did. Not even for me, but for you. Because I know you're going to need it.
Yes.
Yes. You can't, because it wouldn't be a match, and it wouldn't be fair for me to be at this level and watch you struggle, because then you won't understand me. So
like you really are, because you are a goddess in your worth and your embodiment, speaking your truth unapologetically, because you know what is for you is already there. You're not afraid to speak your truth because you live this, you've embodied it. And this is really where every single goddess should be at before they even align into any partnership, any relationship, because you want the proper dynamics. It should be two sovereign beings coming together, supporting each other and adding to each other, not depleting or us as goddess mothering someone into their sovereignty. If you are coming into a relationship with someone, coming into a partnership with someone, it has to be mutual. And what you're saying right now is you being so deep in your knowing that anything less than mutual is not for you. And be said again over and over and over again, because it is possible. We don't have to settle. We know when something is for us, and we know when something is not. And you sitting before us saying this in your knowing, just in your worthiness, is such a powerful thing to witness. Is so needed. And this is why I love talking to other goddesses that have been on the path, that have walked it, because it becomes new possibilities when it's heard from other people. I can sit here saying it a million times, right? But if I've been on this path, if I'm mastered it, if I'm the co-founder, then people go, how believable is it for me? Is it for me? And I go, yes, it is. I'm an example of sorts, right? I'm not the all be all. Like, you're gonna expand. What your path is gonna be big. But just you sitting here and saying this is a blessing to so many goddesses. And this is also why I'm excited about the retreat, which you're going to do.
I know. I'm excited. I'm so excited.
Me too. I'm so excited. This is like everything right now. But this is why I love it, because when we come together in person, so much transformation and expansion happens just from sitting with someone else that goes, look, listen, like this is where you are, but I know because I was there and now I'm here. Like, you're an example, and it's so powerful when we come together together and be able to support each other through these portals, because you have to walk through these portals. This is what I'm getting to like this.
I'm like, wake up, y'all. It's not on social
so
media. It's not in the movies. This is
you,
real life.
You have to walk through these portals. You have to walk through them. They're not going to happen for you if you don't walk through them. Exactly. There's something inside of you that requires you to walk through them in order to get where you're trying to go. And so just knowing that there's examples out there besides me, and I can get off the soapbox and just be like,
look, I was lost in the sauce. I was all deep in it, swimming in it, you know, went to another island, came back. I was just like, okay, you know, and I mean, that's what it's supposed to be. And the way I feel, I want everyone else around me to feel that way. I want everyone to feel that same level of confidence. And, you know, I have a lot of men that are like, oh, well, is it just for, you know, women? And I'm like, absolutely not. I said, there's a male element in this also. You learn both, because there is feminine energy, there's male energy, there's goddess energy, there's God energy. Like there is that balance. There's that polarity thing that happens for a reason. And when you say polarity, no, it's not an opposites attract thing. It's literally how we're constructed and where we are in our level of ascension, and where that, you know, vibration. When I say vibration, sound, and, you know, just energy from, you know, the sun and the planet, all of that, you know, that's not far-fetched. It's there for a reason. The sun warms, you know, night comes for a reason. There's, you know, people have to get out of this mindset. And, you know, I always tell people all the time, get off of social media for like a good month. It's not, break away from, you know, this canned and just kind of, you know, I hate when spirituality gets recycled and then it becomes, you know, these key words and buzzwords and things like that. That's not what it is. And people think that, oh, you know, I'm high vibrational. What does that mean to you?
Right.
What does that mean? Right. You know, and then they can't explain it. And I said, you know, how do you feel about yourself? What do you know about yourself? Oh, you know, and it's not.
Nothing. It's always externals.
Exactly. It's never the inside.
That's never changing. We got to get to something that's so stable and so consistent that is not dependent on anything else around you, but everything was within you already. Oh, and I always say, if you're having sex, you should want your partner to be at your level energetically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Because if they're not, they're either taking from you or you're just willingly giving over your energy to them. So when you learn cosmic sexuality, like you said, it is for both people. You're learning the techniques for your partner to be able to guide them through the process and to be able to have this reciprocal experience, because every time we have sex, it is an energy exchange. But it's either, well, I should say it's a transactional one if someone's not able to reciprocate it, because then they're you at that point, and you want to know where your energy is going, right? If you spend all this time on your own spiritual path, devoted to yourself, devoted to this inner aspect of your expansion, you can feel when someone's not there with you. And it takes such a deep integrity. So hearing you speak is like everything. Like I said, it takes such a deep integrity to go, I feel this already, that you're not with me. I'm not going to keep going down this path with you because I already know where that gets me. I have so like reverence for my own self, and not even in a way that's from this egoic perspective, but this from this way of knowing and feeling. Because when you're in the work, that's the other thing. It becomes so tangible where you feel like the energy inside of you, and you know when you some people call it like the example of closest to them is like a spiritual high, or if they've ever done plant medicine. But that's just source in you. That's just source inside you buzzing around, and you've amplified your field so in such a way where it's undeniable that it's with you all the time, right? Because we're either shrinking our energy field or we're just allowing it to be. So you can feel the difference. You know, we know when someone isn't in alignment with us. And when we say alignment, it's just basically meeting the energy of source. Because if you're talking about alignment, you're talking about connectivity to source that's so deep that it's all of you embodied into one moment consistently throughout time, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you know when that's not felt in another. It's undeniable. You can feel it. When you've been done the work on the path.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. When you're talking about alignment, I'm just like having a flashback of like the whole retention exercise, and that was something different, you know, for a Scorpio girl like me, but it was just amazing. I was like walking, I was like, ooh, like I was like, I didn't know I could make myself feel that way without like, you know, it was just amazing the amount of how awake your body becomes. And it's not even the physical flesh. Like we're caring for our physical flesh through the diet, through the dietary changes, through not having low vibrational foods and things like that. I mean, it was just when your focus is really there, and I took it seriously. I took everything I was learning that seriously, that I felt what I was supposed to feel when I was supposed to feel it during, you know, the phase of the course. And it was guided. You know, I think that's another thing. You know, people shouldn't feel like, oh, it's a course and like, you know, you just throw information at you and you're on your own. No, it's very well guided, and it's, you know, the support was there. So when I had questions, I was like, hey, you know, I was okay with that. And like you all made me feel comfortable in being able to ask those questions. So it was just, you know, it was amazing.
Man, this is everything. Thank you for sharing. Oh, like it really is like hearing other people share their experience with it and knowing like how it supported them, and then seeing you support others after it supported you is to me that source, because it's a continual expansion of reaching people and you taking your own understanding and your light and your knowing to say, hey, like this is here for you. Like I want you to be, I'm so embodied in myself, I'm so secure in myself, I'm so enjoying myself, I'm so at peace in myself that I want this for another. So just hearing you say this is powerful. I'm so excited about the upcoming retreat.
So tell us a little bit more about it. I know everyone was just like, I can't wait. I cannot wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm there already mentally now.
Man, it's gonna be such a big experience. Well, first I planned it around the time of my solar return.
I know.
So I know I always go through these big like expansive points on my birthday, and I think that's also has to do with just my numerology and the 13 and the life cycle, the death, the rebirth, right? So I was like, oh, I want to do something this year. I set out an intention to support so many women with the work that we do. I'm like, I need to bring them through this portal with me, because getting the messages from others, hearing them say like what they need, I know what's possible for them. And I'm like, I just have to create the circumstances for them to say yes to. So I was like, this is the right time. I'm going to plan this. We're doing this together. There's like no excuses. You show up for yourself. We're here. So the first day we're coming into, well, we're staying at a really, really nice hotel. I'm not going to share it live because the safety of all the guests that are coming, but it's one of the best hotels in Florida. The retreat is October 14th through 16th. So you're showing up to your room, then you're going to get settled. We're going to then from there have this gifting experience is what I call it. But I'm like gifting all the goddesses, clothing from my boutique shop Goddess Time and other like goodie bags, which is going to be like,
oh my gosh, check. Yes. I have to go check my card out. Actually, I need to go check my card out.
No. You're getting some at the retreat.
Okay, well, at least the bag. I love that. I'm walking with that bag through the airport. Like I know I'm going to be doing that. So
okay. That's have like a meet and greet for all the goddesses to get to know each other, because I know how it is when you go somewhere you don't know what to expect. You want to really feel welcome. You want to feel received. You want to feel like you can let down your guard and just be in this space where there's non-judgment, where there is transparency, where there is support. So the first day is important for everybody to just kind of get to know each other and also be gifted into this experience, because I want people to feel supported and feel loved on like this whole weekend. So then the next day we have workshops, Cosmic Sexuality foundational work. We are also doing a womb clearing ceremony, and this was not on the course because it is part of my other course.
Yeah,
but we're doing it in person. And this clearing goes so deep. It's a little bit different than our core removal. If those of you have taken it, it's different than that, but it's really going deep into the healing of our womb, healing through the ancestral aspects that come with that. And then we're going to be I'm having some talks. So I don't want to give all away about what I'm talking about, but I prepared some talks, guys, on cosmic orgasmic embodiment, actually like worthiness, partnership, alignment, all these things that continuously come up that I want people to be able to feel the vibration of, to receive it. And when they leave, they know I got it. I got this. I can take it in a tangible way into my life back with me. And then Shalom is going to be doing a talk. He's going to be doing a talk from the divine masculine perspective, which I'm really, really excited about.
I think that's going to be awesome.
It's important to have the balance. And then Vita Guerra is going to be there. Me and her we have a special thing planned for you guys. She's talking.
Awesome. She rocks. So, she's awesome.
Yeah, she's like an icon. So like just having her there with all the other women is like, it's crazy to me. But she's doing a talk. Vita's been on her path for a while. She has her podcast. She's really like lives this life like we live it. So I wanted other people to see and hear from her. So we have something special planned also. And then we're going to be doing a viewing, which I forgot to mention the first night, of the new Cosmic Sexuality film.
I can't wait.
You guys are going to be the people to see it. So that's like a big thing. And that's like a decade of work in this film. So that's like a really big thing for the goddesses to be the first ones to see the viewing of this. So it's going to be everything. I do have moments in between the workshops. We are doing a lot of workshops because I really want it to be immersive, but there are moments in between where you guys can explore the hotel because it's really beautiful. I want you guys to still have that moment of relaxation in between to go explore and really take it in of like where you're at and just relax, like rest. Because I know when you're doing this work, the rest and the integration is so important with this, so that you can process like what's happening within you.
Yeah.
So that it's a big thing. I know sometimes, you know, when people come to retreats, they want to make sure that there's a balance. So after doing this for a while, I know what it takes, and it can just feel like a lot in a good way, but you want to be able to make sure that you have that support on your end to just take it all in. So Sunday we have a parting talk too. And then I have one-on-one sessions. So I have one-on-one sessions with all the goddesses that are there. And that's really when I get to go in and talk to each person about what they want to work on when they leave. And then, of course, obviously, you guys have my support beyond the retreat, but you will have the courses. I know you've already done your certification, but everybody that comes will have it, and you'll have it again, too. And we've actually changed the course since you've taken it. We've added more things. So there's now like
that
area. There's a master class, like founders. Yeah, so it's really, really juicy now. So you guys will have the certification course. You also have the course that is new, which is the Cosmic Orgasmic Embodiment course. And I actually brought on other certified instructors that contributed different things from their own life path and their work to that course as well. But that's like all about the orgasm. So you guys have that when you leave, you take it with you, you process it. And then also attracting a partner is part of the course package too that everybody gets. So I really want this to be something that spans beyond the weekend. The weekend itself is a whole experience. Like that's a big thing, but I also want people to know when they leave that they have support. So the courses for me, making sure that was part of the package was important so that people feel like they have tangible things, even if to just remember, right? To go back to reference that is there for them. So, and when I work one-on-one with people always have like an open door to me after that. Like I'm in contact now with all the goddesses that have taken the courses, that have come to the retreats. They still talk to me frequently. I'm actually popped up on one yesterday that's near me and surprised her with some stuff. So that's cool. I always say it's just important. Like you really want, when you're on this path, to build true community that's not based in ego or egoic friendships. You really want you want relationships that are mutual.
Yeah.
And I start with us as women. So I'm really, really standing on that. And I believe in that. And for me, that's important to make sure that people that come here feel supported even beyond when they leave.
For the people that can't attend in my network, I did provide that link to the book so they can go ahead and, you know, get their feet wet a little bit just with kind of like those basic concepts. And then, you know, that way they don't feel left out. So anyone that is watching it, just be sure to get the book bundles. I know a couple of people reached out to me and they were interested in it, but I think them hearing this live is going to help them understand a little bit better, you know, what cosmic sexuality is and, you know, what it has to offer and how it's, you know, what it's done for me. And, you know, I just want to make sure everyone knows that if you're not able to join, you are able to get this super affordable bundle of books that, you know, help get your, you know, appetite wet a little bit to, you know, move into more guided, you know, courses that are offered.
That means a lot. Thank you for that. I also want to make sure that you can share how people can reach you. Again, we will both be at the retreat. We're going to be there. So if you want to come and meet me in person, you want to meet us both, you want to be in a circle, in a group of women that can support you, support your expansion, join us. We're excited to welcome you. We're here for you. We're ready to receive you. But for those of you that won't be there, I just want you to be able to connect. So if you can share your social medias too as well.
Yes. And one thing, what was I going to say? There's something that just came to mind, not about the books. It may come back to me, but yeah. So anyone that does, just my social media, you said, it's Space Child with spaces in between. Or you can go to my or not even and you can also follow me at _IQ Health Holistic. So that's my business IG where I post more, you know, everything's focused around my naturopathic wellness practice. So I'll be posting stuff out there also.
And I'm going to reshare this and make sure that she's tagged so that you guys can find all of her services. They're amazing. I really want you guys to feel like we want you guys to come with us to the retreat, but I want you to a community of people that are here to support you. So thank you guys so much for joining. I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to share before we close out, but I just thank you so much for like making this time space. Like I know what it takes, like for you to take time out of your schedule to be present and to just share from this place of clarity and knowing was so powerful and so deep. Like I words don't express like how much appreciation I have for this moment.
And I thank both of you all for the time and the care that you've put into everything that you all have done, all of the work. I mean, it's definitely, you know, reflective of everyone that's gone through the course and taken it, you know, to heart and really put that work in. So it was just, I thank you all, you know, it was definitely a blessing.
Thank you so much. Everybody send your love to the goddess Yvonne. And thank you guys so much for joining us. It really means a lot. We hope to see you there. And also, she does have a link. So if you want to come with us, you can DM her too for a special link. She does have a special
that.
So that's important. If you hear this and you want to go, hey, I want to come, send her a DM and we can make it possible for you.
Yeah, we've got about a month. So yeah, you all have some time to get yourself arranged for this trip and there's still spaces. So we would love to see you all out there. I'm excited. I can't wait.
Yes, I'm excited too. I love you so much, goddess. Thank you. And
Me too. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye.